Okay,
So like we won't be able to approve the minutes or anything like that. We'll have to wait
Right.
next month.
okay. I would like to call to order the Public Safety and Equity Advisory Committee meeting for April 3rd, 2025. I'll call roll. Victoria will be late. Woodrow, Shelby Stephenson, here. Twyla Harrington,
Here.
Mary Howell, she's excused. Sherry Winters,
Here.
Robbie Cantrell, Chris Ellison.
Here.
Hey, excellent, thank you. All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I guess I'll lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to open public comment on non-agenda items. If there's anybody online who'd like to speak, unmute yourself. I'm not sure who this one person is, so. Okay, I guess we'll proceed to in chambers. Anyone care to make public comment on non-agenda items? Okay, I'll close public comment. All right, next, we'll have to skip over the approval of minutes. I guess you guys, if anybody has any corrections, I guess we could do that. Anyone have any-
Can we talk about that? Would that be okay?
Huh?
We can talk about that?
Mr. Google's the one who's.
Maybe we'll just go ahead and talk about those meeting minutes if anybody has any.
Okay, I'm gonna bring something up. Maybe if you're okay, this is Sherry. Both the February and the March minutes, section 2 under the pledge, there's a section that says Shelby Stephenson stated. And on the February minutes, it's a little bit convoluted, and it's almost the same thing on the March minutes. To be honest with you, I can't remember when it happened. So I don't know if that's a duplicate, but if I was to make any correction to the February minutes, okay, Shelby Stephenson stated to address something that was posted that we would be talking about the contracts for police and fire tonight. A little bit confusing, but I know what we're talking about there. We are not the body that talks about. So maybe we are not the body that talks about that? An extra that? I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, then there's a different kind of wording for it on that second one that's March. So if for some reason that was just a carryover or something, I mean, I don't know.
Do you remember, Twyla, when you guys had a Monday night meeting right after we'd had one? Would that have been the March or would that have been February? Without listening to the tape, I can't remember which meeting I brought it up because there was a meeting and it had been posted on.
And it's usually like the Monday before this one, so I don't know if it was.
Okay,
Because we
I
are
think
meeting
perhaps we're
monthly.
not going to, well, let's just do what corrections and I will go back and review
I was
and then
gonna
we'll
s-
bring it up at another meeting. We just will not sign off on minutes, but I will make a note of that. I didn't even catch that because I know I cruised through this. Oh yeah, we talked about that. I just didn't catch it coming. Oh yeah, it happened another month. Really? No, it didn't.
Okay, well, it's either the month with Burton or the month without Burton. That's my go-to. Remember, our comfort dog came on February, so, okay. The
I
next,
think it's not when Burton was here.
so then it would be more March
I
related.
think it's probably
So that
March.
might be something that needs to be stricken, but,
Okay.
okay, we move forward. Okay, in this same area, on February minutes, page 3 of 4, fourth paragraph down where it says Woodrow Terrell stated, blah, blah, blah. As it goes through that 3 juveniles were arrested at the park near the high school. Near the high school. And then I think it should say, is this in this month's report somewhere, as opposed to is in this month's report somewhere. Yeah, you feeling that?
Yep.
Okay, skip 2 paragraphs down. Woodrow Terrell asked if we've have had, so maybe we can do something with we have had or just we've had. So get rid of the redundant haves that are showing up there in contraction or not, I don't care, whichever. And then we'll, with bringing, I think it should say, had any success with bring down vandalism. I think it should say bringing down vandalism. Okay. And then I would go to page 4, and I would state under section 8, second thing where shall be stated. It's a little bit confusing sounding there too. Shall be Stephenson stated an update from city council. I would propose a period and then cross out is that and say they decided that they will do something different. I don't know if I'm taking liberty.
Also, now I'm finding conflicting information about quorums.
Oh, you
I
are?
should have stopped reading. I
Well,
don't know
okay.
which one is right.
We will make no decisions, but can we just talk about stuff? Is that okay?
So one, I found, and if anybody else is more of an expert, please weigh in. But yeah, in the 4 or 5 years I've been doing this hasn't happened before. Or it was caught before and it was just canceled. So there's one that says you can, and then there's another that says you call the meeting to order and you make an announcement that there is no quorum, and then you entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
So,
okay. If you guys don't mind, I would be happy to pound out the ideas on minutes, at least, no? We
I
shouldn't
don't
have
know.
said that? But everyone's not here to weigh in, that's totally true. We
Yes.
wouldn't be voting on them, we'd be going over them again.
mhm.
So we'd be telling
Well,
them.
can we move then on from minutes and just move on to the
Law
captain's report
enforcement report,
or
yeah.
something like that? I mean,
But
is that okay?
have you been in meetings, Roberts, with Robert's rules?
Yes, I belong to a association that's a nonprofit association, and we are required by rule to follow Robert's Rules of Order, but I don't know if there's a difference between Robert's Rules of Orders for an association and then the public sector. I don't know if there's different rules that each would have to follow, because obviously a nonprofit association is different than the public sector, you know, on that. So I don't know. I know that when we have not had a quorum in our association, we could not vote.
Right,
But we could still talk business without a vote. We would have to table discussions. We could flesh things out, but the business would be brought back at the next business meeting when there is a quorum.
right. That's kind of how I was thinking we would proceed, but then again, they're not here to hear some of the discussions, so then maybe you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you're totally right. Well, if everyone's okay with this, I think we should at least cover the law enforcement reports, because those get older, and we might as well talk about those, hear what's happened, and we'll make no decisions otherwise, and
Right. And
maybe
we'll-
that's all we're doing tonight.
Make the best decisions with the information we have.
Okay, so we'll all have a long time, and I will actually go back and listen to the tape and pay better attention to the minutes, so.
But I do believe Victoria indicated she'd just be here, but she'd be here late.
Yes,
So.
so, okay, so maybe
Then we would.
potentially we could circle back.
Yes.
Okay, let's just proceed with monthly law enforcement, okay?
Well, thanks, Shelby. Hey, everybody, good to see you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'd like to introduce Katie Bregard behind me. It's the Chief of Staff to Sheriff Morrissey O'Donnell, and she's also available to answer any questions or field any issues that you'd like to talk to her about. So before we get into the report, I did touch base with Shelby real quick, and I think Sherry had the same question about what data is collected in these reports. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it, and I'll get back to you all. I know there was one specific call that you had referenced, so we'll figure out, we'll make sure that we're capturing all the data that you wanna see I gotta connect with some people, but we'll make it happen.
Okay.
So I'd like to start with the overall reported crime overview. You want to take a look at that, you'll notice that, you'll notice that person and property crimes are continuing in a downward trend. It does show society crime up 3 from 26 to 29 between February and now, but you'll also note that that's down 6.5% from the previous year. Next, I'd like to talk about our law enforcement activity report, which is this page right here. If you'll note, under traffic accidents, 21 were reported in March, and that's down from 31 in February. And I'd like to attribute that to some focused intervention missions we've been doing. Before that, I'd like Nick to talk a little bit about some of the efforts we've been making. Hey, don't worry about it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Nick.
Okay. So one thing I noticed on the overall traffic stops and citations and stuff that was issued last month in March, I don't think those numbers are accurate on there based on the way that the data was pulled from our crime analysis guy. We did multiple missions last month, and we did over 100, and I think we had 105 or 106 traffic stops in those 3 missions and issued numerous citations. That being said, the numbers that are on that for the overall traffic stops in Troutdale, I could be completely wrong, but I believe that those numbers are not accurate. And I'm wondering if that our crime analysis guy is pulling the traffic stops from just strictly patrol districts versus people that are on a special detail, which is possible. That being said, if he were to pull all of the stats for patrol units as well as basically detail units, that number could be fluctuate significantly.
And I'll add that to my conversation with them,
Okay.
making sure the numbers are accurate. Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
I don't think I was quite understanding what he's saying. On here, when I look, looks like traffic stops from the previous 31 days are up by 100, which is almost twice as many.
Yes.
And are you meaning that that's not accurate? Is that what he's saying?
Nick?
Yeah, the numbers that are on there don't seem to reflect on the amount of stops we have conducted over the last month out there, counting our missions that we did. Because just between the 3 missions, and there would have been 8 deputies total between those 3 missions. And I believe we did 106 traffic stops between those 3 missions.
Okay, and Nick, this is Sherry. On that extra targeted patrols, it shows a number currently of 106.
Okay, I don't know every time I'm down in Columbia River Highway or any of the traffic related areas where they're complaining about, speed enforcement or certain things, I always put myself out on a extra patrol in that area prior to doing traffic stops there. So it shows me in the area.
Well, like I said, we'll get it hashed out. That might be where it's being
Okay.
reflected then.
Okay.
But the overall point is that we're addressing the traffic safety concerns. Thank you, Nick. Next, I'd like to talk about stolen vehicles. There was only 1 reported stolen vehicle during this time frame, which was recovered a few days later in Seattle. So it is since back with their owner. I'd like to circle back to some questions we had from the last PSEAC meeting. One was regarding stolen vehicles reported on frontage road in February. There were a few at the same time. So what happened was, it was during the ice event, and a car carrier had parked overnight to avoid driving on 84. And apparently they leave the keys in the vehicle, and so those keys were taken off of the car trailer. So it wasn't separate cars that were, it wasn't like a mass car theft in the area. It was off that one trailer, so. Moving on to the detective case activity. 13 cases were referred to detectives during this month. 10 were determined not to be criminal offenses. 1 was impounded and 2 were suspended. So in essence, all of those have been resolved to this point. I also like to circle back to the question that came up in the public safety survey regarding the explosions in the Douglas Cemetery area. So I did have a crime analyst research and pulled data from the cemetery from the last 4 years. During the last 4 years, there were 4 reported explosion type events. 3 of those were reported between May and July of 2022, and the other was in September of 2023. The In all of those instances, deputies responded and canvassed the scene and weren't able to find any evidence of explosive devices that would lend to the likelihood of fireworks.
Yeah.
However, in May of 2022, deputies were on extra patrol through the cemetery, did find a homemade bomb in there. They were able to contact our explosive disposal unit and have it neutralized, but again, that was in 2022. So the last reported explosion or loud explosion was in September of 2023. And as this was a problem going through, I'd also like to point out that deputies conducted 67 premise checks of the cemetery during that same time frame. And that was an effort to address these issues amongst other issues with people loitering in the park and what else can happen there. So we're keeping a close eye on the park. But I just want to make sure there's no cause for public alarm, that this isn't a nightly event. And if it is, they're not being reported and our deputies aren't seeing it. So it's very unlikely this is a nightly event. We also discussed in the last meeting article for the Hope Team and the Champion. One has been drafted and sent over for inclusion, and we'll ensure that that's continuing throughout. For each Champion article, we'll have some kind of Hope Team update through there. Moving on, if we look through the call log here, I only saw a couple of notable calls that I wanted to brief you on. On 3/6, there was a burglary reported at Reynolds High School. It turned out 3 juveniles had broken into the building and attempted to take some clothing, and they were apprehended. There was a large police response on 3/7 in the area of 246 at Stark at the eye clinic there. And the report was the subject was making threats to staff and claiming to be armed. He was found not to be armed, and he was taken into custody without any issues. And then I'd like to punt back to Nick to talk about his efforts in the smelt poaching on 327.
Oh, yeah.
Nick?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was aware that the smelt incident was going on. They had a 7-hour period where they allowed people to harvest the smelt during the day on last Thursday. So I knew from past experience that this was going to be a problem, because it always is. So I went down there and began working the area by the Troutdale Bridge and Sugar Man area, and ended up partnering up with 8 Oregon State Troopers. And I'm not sure how many people we cited overall. I would guess probably close to 100 people were cited that day for poaching smelt. They were allowed 10 pounds per person, and they were taking well over that 10-pound limit. Multiple people had, 50, 80. Some people had over 100 pounds of those smelt, and they were issued citations. We seized their smelt. And then at the end of the day, we turned the smelt that was seized over to the Warm Springs Native tribal individuals that came down and picked them up.
Thanks, Nick. I'm really proud of Nick's efforts. He's an avid fisherman, and he really cares about our environment out here. So great job, Nick. Thank you. Any questions for me or Katie?
Go ahead, Sherry.
Always another one from me. This is Sherry. Okay, so we talked about last time what we felt like was missing data, the dates being out. Okay, so in case you weren't aware, you guys weren't doing anything on the 2nd again. And I don't know if you noticed that in our report.
So that's what I was referencing earlier. I think that we just need to adjust what the data collection is to make sure that you're getting what you need. I think that the screening factors aren't capturing everything, and I'll make sure it's taken care of. So
Okay, because there's like 4 other dates in here, and I was just like, I know you said you guys are, so.
yeah, I'll make sure it's taken care of.
Okay,
I think I'm gonna work with him, whatever we figure out, if he gets the report to generate from February, I'm gonna see, is it got the incident I'm looking for? And just see, and then maybe that'll be the new parameters to
Yeah,
get data.
we'll dial it in.
So we'll figure out that, and so,
all right, that was mine.
excellent, anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Well, I'll turn it over to Frank here. Thank you all.
Yes, Frank, you're up. And I'm sorry, we don't have the whole crew to hear about this.
It's information, obviously.
But well, I know, but it's just too bad they won't get it, they'll miss out on it, but yes.
You can watch the video.
Actually, you can, because I'm on my Google Drive if you want to watch videos.
Oh, nice.
Can everyone hear me okay? Nick, can you hear me okay? Someone online?
We don't have Paul tonight, yeah.
I know, it's weird, we don't have.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you, sir. Oh, and wicked thanks on the Thursday event, that 12 to 7. I know you guys were wicked busy. Thanks for taking care of all the fishermen and that craziness. The traffic was nuts. Thank you for doing what you did.
That was probably one of the busiest days I've seen down there for one of these smelt openers.
That and July 4th, those are the 2 days I've seen where it's that crazy, for sure.
If I were to take a guess, I would estimate there was over 5,000 people down there during that entire day.
Yeah, if you'd have done parking tickets, I think we could have covered the cost for the year.
I did some of that and ended up towing a vehicle for a guy that poached a bunch of smelt. So there was a little bit of that went on.
Yeah, and I also spoke to the Grand Ron tribe on Friday. They really appreciated all of your efforts as well.
I think next year, based on what I saw, if they show up again next year, I think that the sheriff's office should definitely partner up with Oregon State Police and try to make a concerted effort to try to hammer on that thing. Because that was, I mean, the amount of work that we did, that didn't even put a dent in what was happening down there.
Yeah, it was Oregon State Police on the east side, Multnomah County on the pretty much basically on the west side, and then Fish and Wildlife were on both sides. It was a concerted effort. It was just too many people, honestly.
Yeah, there were only 9 of us. There was me, 8 state troopers, and then another patrol deputy was helping me. And the amount of activity we had down there, like I said, we couldn't keep up with what was going on down there.
All right, let's see if I can pull up my Zoom here. There it is. And let's go to share. Table of two bollards. I know, right? There you go. It's slow, but it's working.
Yep.
All right, so my name is Frank Stevens. I'm a 34-year resident of Troutdale. I recently graduated from Portland State University with my degree in sociology. You now have a quorum.
I know, we can.
Chair, would you like to?
No, you
Okay.
can go ahead, you can go ahead.
So I recently graduated last year with my degree in transportation equity and sociology, which I am trying to put to good use in retirement. So I'm doing an account for Metro on Bike and Ped on the new Chop Chop Trail, that Metro trail that basically just came in. As a side effect of that, in my studies from June through October, I came up with this tale of two bollards. So basically what we're looking at is this map of down by the URA. Are you familiar with the area? Anyone? Okay. So what you're seeing is this flow of what were vehicles before the bollards and boulders were installed. So this was in June of last year. So you can see how the vehicles are actually driving under I-84 on the shared use path. We had multiple vehicles, depending on the day, that would drive all the way up to almost to the visitor center, to the rail tracks. And then you would have just parked during the day on 257th. And then the biggest one was actually on Jordan Road, right there on the south side by Lewis and Clark, as you're heading down to Lewis and Clark. That was the major route for most people to get access to the East Beach and the DSL, Department of State Lands property. So that's kind of the hinge point of everything. So these are the bollards we're talking about. This is what they look like in the past, so that would have been last June. So you can see how it's just a simple steel bollard that's inserted with just a simple lock and chain on it. So what was happening is those were being basically clipped and stolen, so the bollards would be removed and it would open up traffic again. So you would see this flow of traffic on the shared use path where it's supposed to be just people. You can see where one is missing, that's on Jordan Road. You can see where vehicles have dented. That's still broken right there, by the way. And then you can see on 257th where it was missing as well. So this is obviously a trail for people. I actually did a study on this route. So I counted over 200 people over the course of 8 hours and 6 cars. that were just rapidly going across the shared use path or coming in from Jordan Road and just heading down to the beach. So that was kind of a key indicator of raising the flag with local jurisdictions. It's a unique situation because we have Multnomah County Sheriffs, we have Oregon Parks and Recreation, we have Department of State Lands, we have Multnomah County, we have Metro, we have all City of Troutdale. All of these entities all have different responsibilities, all within a quarter-mile area. So it makes it really confusing on who's going to do what, when, and where. Oh, there you go. So here are some of the examples of some of the cars and vehicles that just drive out on, this is the path where people are walking with their dogs and kids. The one covered up is the guy flipping me off as he went by. He was giving me the #1 salute. Yeah, it was pretty verbal. Got a lot of comments. So these are the two highlighted areas that I wanted to make a note of. The reason I want to show this to you guys is from a public safety standpoint. We could potentially see the same issues again this summer, but I think it's going to be more focused on our side. So we're going to see more on the Troutdale side because those bollards are now blocked with boulders. Do you see the boulders in the corner up there? So that is totally shut down Jordan Road. So initially we saw an increase in vehicles coming in on the Troutdale side, but since that point, they've installed bollards as well as stones on the north side of I-84 shared path and also on 257th. So the winter months are much quieter, so the summer is really going to be a test of is this going to work or is it not going to work? Do we need to redesign? What kind of enforcement do we need? Do we need to do more engineering? All of this stuff is really in the public safety realm, and it really ties in with homelessness, which is another one of your survey topics. The majority of the vehicles we're supplying, this is basically, Troutdale is a supply route for vehicles to go from Troutdale, either the truck stop or the north side, or on Wednesdays, it's the Great Harvest has bags of food. So there is a line of different organizations that support the homeless community over there, and they utilize the shared use path as a route to get there.
So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject, but you're talking on the right side, they're dropping off food over there.
Correct.
And then those cars that want to drive that east side of the river down into like 1,000 Acres or something like that?
Right, so, here, let me go back. Let me go back to the previous.
You can't hit a back arrow, it won't do it.
Yeah.
I think when you're in the preview, going forward, it doesn't do it very easy.
Okay.
Yes, this will help. So property based on jurisdictional, as you take that right, the corner right there on Jordan Road, if I had the pointer. Probably not. Nope. Yeah, I know.
Pointer, where's our
So,
stick?
the majority of the vehicles, and I actually went over because I know the area pretty well from living here for so many years. We used to camp out there with my kids. So 30 years ago, it would be a tent or two. Now it's a community.
Okay, you keep saying Jordan Road. Maybe it would help me if I totally knew where Jordan Road was.
I think it's on the east
So the
side
right
of the
circle
river.
on the east side is Jordan Road.
That's Jordan Road.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize there was a total road there. I thought it was a path. It's a road.
That's the road
There's a
off the
path next to
freeway.
it. Yeah.
The road off the freeway. See the
Yeah,
circle
so
around comes to the circle.
And what's weird is Jordan Road actually belongs to Oregon Parks and Recreation. It doesn't belong to ODOT.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's another whole twist. And then once you go under I-84, that property belongs to ODOT. And then north of the highway on the east side is Department of State Lands.
Okay.
On the right, that you can't quite see in the picture, is Forest Service, which is 1,000 acres.
Okay.
This is why it gets so confusing, because there's so many different entities all in such a small space.
But where they're driving the cars down is mostly into the.
Department of State Lands,
They're
and then
not
they're
really
using.
going into, they're not really going into 1,000 acres, is
No.
that? Oh, okay.
No, so the levee, as you go into 1,000 Acres, if you follow Jordan Road to the entry to the highway, there's a gate that used to be a gate, you know, it's broken if I remember right, but
Yeah.
you basically go into that, you have to pay for parking.
Right.
That 1,000 acre section is Forest Service. There's an agreement basically between DSL and Forest Service that there won't be, it's separated.
Okay,
And also you have Friends of Sandy River Delta that really keep an eye on that area.
okay.
Yeah. Any more questions on that? So basically your homeless community is just north of the highway along the river on
That's
the
where you
east
see
side.
the tents, you see the tents from the highway.
So what we saw, and this is with me working with DSL and all the other agencies, is literally cars going in and parking next to their campgrounds. And then coming out, resupplying, going back in. It was like a campground over the summer. A lot of vehicles, abandoned vehicles and stuff like that too. So. Now there's some OARs that are in there that DSL are trying to enforce, but those regulations are pretty open. So it's like a 30-day requirement and they could kick someone out, but then you have to prove that they were driving, and there's a lot of logistics that go with it, so.
Okay, but technically, that's not really Troutdale.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is a latent function of what's happening in Troutdale as a result of having this community on that side. So the vehicles were coming in on now that we've blocked the Jordan Road, the emphasis is gonna be from the Troutdale side.
Right, which is behind that.
Right, so
Yeah.
behind the mall, that 257th area.
Yeah.
And just recently, we saw the Lewis and Clark support crews that work with the JOHS, the Joint Home Operation Service, parking on 257th to support the community without even talking to the city of Troutdale.
Oh, wow.
So that was a recent, so this is something that I wanted to bring to your attention, because from a public safety standpoint, it really ties in with your survey.
Yeah.
And it also ties in with, okay, what actions can we take at the city level to establish ordinances? And we're gonna have a children's park right there at those oak trees. That trail is gonna be 3 different parks along the route,
On the west side? is
on the
that-
east side, on the Troutdale side. So we're
On
gonna
the-
have a children's
On
park.
the east side behind the mall, the west side of the river.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
the west side, of the river,
Yeah.
the east side, okay, behind that is where, okay.
Yeah, so that puts a little bit of a focus on it, I guess you could say. I've had nothing but support. City of Troutdale, Travis Hutton, Public Works, those guys have been awesome. Multnomah County Sheriff's Office has been awesome. They patrol most of the Choctaw Trail and almost all of this trail daily. If I have anyone underneath the bridge that's homeless, typically they're gone within a day.
Okay.
Hope Team is heavily involved. The support's there, it's just like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Frank?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is Sherry. So, I mean, I see what looked like a complete block over there on what you're showing me there, the rocks there. I'm trying to figure out how a bicycle or a pedestrian passes through there.
They don't,
Not at all.
no.
So isn't that a problem?
No, so as you go further down Jordan Road, before you get to the railroad track, there's 3 other entry points for people.
Okay,
And
so
then-
I think when I've ridden it before, that's why I've been on
Yeah.
that part. Okay,
Yeah, now, don't get me wrong, Lewis and Clark is still, and I think, I would highly recommend we bring in Clay Courtwright or OPRD, the Lewis and Clark staff, because they've been dealing with this a lot longer than we have, and we could really use their advice on how they dealt with the situation. Because they still have, especially I call it the roving homeless vehicles that migrate from one parking spot to another parking spot to another parking spot, all in Troutdale. So I'll
Hey, Frank, this is Deputy Bork. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Hey, so is Clay Courtwright still in the area, or did he get transferred?
no, he's still here. Dave Spangler is retired now, so he's being replaced.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys were able to work with Clay on any of this on their properties, he is definitely somebody you want to have on board with that, because he is very proactive on preventing this stuff from occurring and taking place on their property.
Yeah, he's the guy that got those, the bollard installed and also the boulders installed. He shut it down.
Okay. When I worked with the State Parks and Forest Service contracts a few years ago, I worked really closely with him, and he is definitely somebody that will get stuff done very quickly.
Yep, yeah, I sent a lot of, I actually did testimony with Department of State Lands and made no headway at all. OPRD was really, Clay Court was really the only guy that stepped up, besides on our side, with all the help we had on our side.
Yeah, like I said, if there's a way to get him roped into this to help assist with whatever happens with this situation, he is definitely somebody that you want to have on that panel to work with it.
Yep, totally, I agree, yep.
Okay, you're gonna keep going, I'm sorry, I was gonna ask another question, but I can wait.
It's okay. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, so we're already into this, so how has the barrier changed the area and the impact on 257th? I think I noted that. My question is, what happens this summer when we see the massive number of people that come out to the river? Where are they gonna park? We don't have, those bollards are moved back because of construction. What happens when the trail is done? Are we moving those bollards, or the stone bollards back, so 257th is closed off? Or are we gonna open that up to parking so that people can access the walkway underneath and going into Troutdale? So those questions are things that I'm bringing up from a sociology standpoint of, this is a transportation question. Like, what ordinance do we have on hand? What plan do we have on hand? And I don't see anything in our city of Troutdale ordinance that really defines where we're going. From a homeless standpoint, you've got a couple of things in different areas, but nothing that says, hey, this is our homeless response plan. I think the Hope team is probably our best group of guys out there, and I think they're back up to two. And they've always been incredibly supportive of getting our homeless friends off of the streets and where they need to go. So yeah, that's why I brought it to you guys. Just know that I'll be down there all summer doing the same bike and ped count. The vehicle thing was just a side effect. It was just something that I noticed on the side going, why do I have vehicles on the road with on a shared use path with my bikes? And occasionally I see it on Chalk Trail, but once or twice as opposed to like a daily event in this area. So this I-84 section is the crux, and putting in the new connection that goes into Troutdale opens up a whole different avenue. So yeah, so Sherry, you had questions?
I do, actually, what I'm just wondering is, because I know with the park stuff going on, I don't know the exact, how they're accessing all the areas, but if we can, behind your little sign thing there, as you go around the mall, so I'm gonna show you this one.
Right here, I can use my arrow.
Okay, so as you go around over here and you get to
Yep.
that point where you talked about distribution of stuff, and it's kind of
Yeah,
the
this is
dead end.
the 257th supply route, I call it.
Okay, and this is where you talked about the cut bollards before or whatever.
Yeah, all that's restored and set up with bollards as well as stone.
Okay.
Barricades.
So in that area, there's stone too, because I was thinking, how
Correct.
about something a little bit more substantial? Bikes still go through, cars cannot.
Right, so Travis Hutton is already working this issue with ODOT
Okay,
to try and come up with a better gate system besides bollards. So that's in work, but that's gonna take time. So what are we gonna do in between?
well, I just was thinking like, on Marine Drive where, they tried to stop. It's like,
Like down on 33rd or?
no, like 185th to.
Oh, okay.
Where the bike path, again, on like Riverside switches back over to opposite Riverside, because there's houseboat home things.
Yeah,
And it was right there, kind of Fairview, coming up on Blue Lake area, it was too sketch to ride a bike. And cars, just tons of cars just driving down in there everywhere, even stuff that looks gated, and they're finding ways in. So those bigger stone things that almost look like the divider things in the freeway
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
installed.
we're talking about the Jersey barriers, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just wondered, like, I mean, getting issued a few of those just at an angle,
Uh-huh.
a car's not gonna move that or clip that.
The one thing we always miss about this is emergency access. So if we have a fire in the Delta, how's fire gonna get there? That's a question that comes up.
Okay, so I guess I wonder, when you say the delta, you're talking right in this little piece here,
Now, I'm talking about everything north on the
over here?
east side of I-84.
Is there not access over here that you can get to it?
The west side isn't an issue, the east side is the issue.
But can't you get to it from over here?
Only through Forest Service land at this time.
I mean, is there anything over here at Troutdale?
No.
So us worrying about what we can't get to that isn't ours, as much as I appreciate helping the neighbor and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, sounds like
So-
we're borrowing a problem that's not ours.
The catch to that, and I'll be sitting in on Saturday on the wildfire issue up in Sandy Palisades. This is related to that. If there's a fire in the Sandy River Delta, the potential of that fire spreading to Glen Otto, Beaver Creek, and Sandy Palisades, up the Sandy River, it's an issue.
I can appreciate it. I fought wildland fires for
Yeah.
3 years, so
Yeah.
I can appreciate it. But I also look at that and it's like a vehicle or somebody being able to access across here to get over here when you can access it from over here.
Oh, I agree.
Because we would still be coming over and going into somebody else's land.
I agree totally.
So that's why I say, like, appreciate the emergency access, but do we really need it there?
That's not my, yeah. So I would hand that to Travis as an engineer and hand that to my engineers and my public safety guys. Wait a minute, public safety? Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for this presentation. This is great
Yeah, I
information.
think that was it. That should be-
I was down just looking at this melt, not dipping on Friday.
Oh, nice.
But I was surprised as I crossed the road there, I parked at Lewis and Clark State Park, there was a motorcycle on the
Yeah.
path going back that way, so it does stop the cars, does not stop
Nope.
the motorcycles, motorbikes that go down there. And I think what it speaks to largely is our unhoused population, and there's no resources in the woods. And so to get resources, they need to come out of the woods, and a lot of those resources they access are in this area and at the truck stops and down that way.
Yep.
And so I think it's great we're putting all these mitigating factors in place, but to solve the problem, we're really gonna have to solve the house list problem.
Yes, I'm giving you the observations I have, and I agree, it's a Band-Aid. So,
I've actually seen bicycles with little trailers like those things. That's how they got their supplies. So see, they figured out, once this got paved, well, we can drive our car down in there. So now that's more convenient. I don't have to have a bike with one of those baby carrier
Yeah.
things towing behind, so.
I'm interested to see what it looks like this summer. I mean, I thought I saw stuff so elaborate that for a water resupply at Lewis and Clark, we would have water bottles on each one of the posts all along Jordan Road. And this is better than some of my military operations where we would resupply. It was literally like a process of fill a bottle, move it down one, fill a bottle, move it down one, and that's how they resupplied their community. It's a community.
Yeah.
So, I am definitely doing testimony, the same type of testimony. I presented this at East Multnomah County Transportation Committee. I gave it to Metro. I've given it to both of our senators at the House as well as the Senate. So it's just a continual process, and we just have to keep the pressure on. I think it's important to look at it from Troutdale's being affected, even though it's not our property.
Yeah, I agree.
We are a latent function of supporting this entity, and in my opinion, this is just my personal opinion, Multnomah County is out of sight, out of mind. And that's basically been going on for 20 years at least. So I think we're at a point where we can say, hey, look, we're building this park, we're gonna have kids, families, all these other, it needs to stop. We are not a conduit anymore. So how do we do that? Those are the questions I'm asking. From a researcher standpoint, I can tell you what I'm seeing, but then how do we respond? What ordinances can we do? Can we engineer it? Can we enforce it? All of those questions come up,
Right.
so, yeah.
So I have a question. So right now, we're just gonna go ahead and have those rocks, big boulders in front of, which doesn't allow for any emergency, or even if someone's
No,
going to do,
because the bollards are there and we have the key to the bollards, I can have emergency vehicle access. So,
so how do you move
Parks has
those
the key.
boulders? How do you move those
the
boulders?
boulders are far enough out from the bollard, so if I remove a bollard, I can still get emergency vehicles through.
Oh,
so
really? It
Parks
looks
has
like
the
it's
key.
piled in front. It looks like.
Oh, no, that's on the other side.
That one you can.
On the east side, okay, okay, that's the one I
Yeah,
drove by,
and
so.
don't forget, Thousand Acres has access via the levee on Thousand Acres side. And then Department of State Lands has been telling me for a year, this is Brad McAfee, who works with Department of State Lands, has been saying that they're gonna install a gate that's gonna give them access on that side. But I haven't seen any movement at all, so.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna go through another summer of this. This is on 257th. That car is parked right on 257th next to the Jersey barriers with the tent up. Yeah, this lasted 5 days, 6 days, and then finally Multnomah County Sheriff's Department came in and, yeah. And it's a weird jurisdictional thing too, because he was officially on, I'm pretty sure it's ODOT right away. So it's this weird,
Yeah,
yeah. And then under I-84 is a whole other game as well. So I've made some recommendations, putting rocks underneath, boulders basically underneath, next to the shared use path under I-84, making sure we have more lighting under there. Just make it less conducive to camping.
yeah,
And I gotta say, Troutdale's doing a really good job. The Troutdale and Multnomah County Sheriff's Department is doing a really good job on this side. It's just the other side that it's like constantly trying to keep the control.
Hey, Frank, this is Deputy Moore again.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, we also have all of our four-wheelers that we run out there during the spring and summer and fall when the weather's obviously permitted for us to do so. I've been utilizing those for the last few years in the position that I'm in, and we patrol basically everything from the railroad bridge on the Troutdale side all the way out to the mouth of the Sandy River as well on the Troutdale side. And if there's any camps that we locate out there that are just starting, we typically push them away from the Troutdale side and get them out of that area as quick as possible before they establish a camp. That way it doesn't become a location where more people will want to congregate.
Yep.
And we also have a new four-wheeler as well as a side-by-side Razor deal that we just got that Captain Stewart had gotten a grant for that we will be hopefully utilizing here very soon because we just got the equipment for it.
Oh, that's outstanding. Yeah, so I've only had one homeless community, and that was on Metro property since June of last year.
Yeah, typically on the Troutdale side, we don't see a whole lot of it, but when we do, we try to get on top of it before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, you guys are doing outstanding. I got to give you a thumbs up for sure. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're out there today on my run, actually. Thank you very much.
yay, thanks. How about you guys, you have any questions?
So in conclusion, thanks for listening. I know it's a complicated topic. Homelessness is complicated. It's trying to take care of people, but at the same time doing it empathetically. So from my observations, I hope I gave you enough tools to kind of take the next step. And if I can help you take that next step, just let me know. I'll be doing studies most of the summer, so I'll be out there. I run that route every day with my dog. I usually go by your place. Yeah, so I love the area. The bald eagles are doing great. Our wildlife is coming back. The smelt run, even though it's going to be pretty smelly this weekend, I raked up a bunch of those smelt that were in they were about a foot deep in places. It was a mess. But yeah, it's going to be pretty rank for a couple of weeks. But yeah, the birds are loving it.
That's good.
Yeah, and we now have beavers and seals down there too, so if you guys want to go down, and deer are further down by Chinook Landing, so if you want to check out some deer, they're down on that side. weird how we have industrial and nature all together. Yeah,
That's okay.
great spot.
That's good. That's good. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so hallelujah that you showed up here, Victoria, because we didn't have a quorum. So now we do. Now we can, how about, do you guys want to circle back on the minutes, or do we want to just look at those because there's so many corrections?
Well,
We were finding a bunch of corrections on the minutes.
Oh, I said I was gonna be
Yeah, you
late.
said you
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, we remember that, yeah. So at any rate,
those were the minutes that had issues, the February minutes that I was talking about.
oh,
And so I brought up some stuff. Do you want me to repeat what it was? Very quickly, or not waste our time on it?
sure, let's see,
Oh,
I don't care. What does anybody want to do? Take a vote. You guys want to do minutes or not?
did you have any chance? Did you
Minutes
review
are-
minutes?
Did you have a chance to review minutes?
I couldn't do minutes, I mean,
Can we can review them? Okay,
Okay.
let's review minutes. Let's go back and do review minutes. Okay, so we're looking at February 6th, and I think, Sherry, go ahead and say what you,
Okay, so again, in section 2, under pledge, Shelby states something. It also shows up kind of identical in the March minutes under the same section. It's a little bit convoluted in the way it's said in the February minutes. And so we're trying to figure out which one it really belonged in, because it doesn't seem likely that she stated the exact same thing 2 months in a row.
for 1 second, let me stop. Do you remember when we had our public safety meeting, and the following Monday, you guys had the work group? Was that in March, or was that in February?
oh, I left my phone in the car.
I'm not on the work group, so I wouldn't have it on my calendar.
I'm gonna guess it was February, because this meeting was early February.
Okay.
I'll confirm, I do have my calendar.
Okay, so you can help us out, because I thought it maybe wasn't when we had Merton.
I think we had it like the first or second Monday in February, third Monday.
So in February, it was the 10th,
Yeah,
Okay, so
so
this,
it would have been March. Right,
we
public-
would have had the meeting on Thursday, the 6th for public safety,
okay.
and the work group on the following Monday. Is that was in February, because it
Yeah.
wasn't in March, it
The
wasn't March.
exact same thing happened in March, because there's 28 days in February.
right,
I
exactly.
know, but did you
So it
guys
was
have a
the 10th
meeting
in
on March?
so-
You did have a meeting on March 10th?
Yeah.
Okay, we cannot decide that, listen, I listened to the minutes. So frankly, we will not be able to approve the minutes till, I gotta listen to them, because it's obviously
Figure
wrong
out.
on one of them.
Yeah.
So,
Just not waste our time on it.
so we'll just come back over the minutes, I'll get them to correct and give us new copies. And
but we can approve them with corrections.
Thing is, we don't know which month it is in.
No, both of them were on the 10th in February, so
You guys met on work group both times.
on the same
My
day.
phone.
Oh, no, it was on my calendar.
Yeah, and we have one every month. And
Okay,
it's-
well, so what, don't you remember when I met in the meeting?
Yeah,
And people came and had been posted on Facebook. That
Right.
we were gonna be talking about the contract. And I wanted to clarify for the audience that we were not gonna be talking about the contract. So I brought it up in the meeting, very beginning, so people would know they could go to another month's meeting, or go to the following on Monday. So we cannot correct these minutes because we don't know which month I stated that in.
what was that month that you were talking about that we were in the meeting? I'm positive.
Yeah, what
Because it
I'm
was
saying
gonna
is,
happen right away.
yes, so what I'm saying, Victoria, is both February minutes that's in, and they've listed the same thing in March. I didn't do it 2 months,
I think it was February.
but I think we can't know, so. Okay, so today's meeting is really jacked up a lot different than normal, so, okay, I think are you guys in favor? We'll just table the minutes and we'll do them next month.
We're gonna do 3 next month.
We're gonna do 3, like you can all remember. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to tape.
Oh, I was hoping we weren't having one, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, sorry, jeez. Okay, next month. We will do them then. Okay, so let's go on to agenda item number 7. Summary from the safety survey follow-up items, the accomplishments that we talked about. Okay, so last time we went through the list and we came up with a bunch of things that we decided we wanted to do. So let me get my sheet out. It says what? Actually, I think it says it right here. Okay, so one of the things that I was gonna do was follow up with Robbie, and I tried, but he didn't respond back to my email, so I don't know if he's still been so busy. So I have no answer on that. I did contact, you know how what's that place called? The Corps, the Job Corps.
Oh,
They had
Springdale,
asked.
Springdale Job
I
Corps.
called them and left them a message and left them my phone number if they had any issues to call me back, and I never heard from them. I told them whether survey results were posted, and if they wanted to follow back, call me. Never heard anything, so I guess that one is done.
Okay.
Then I sent an email to Susan Huey, who handles the city water bills, asking her to add a note to the water bill. And I don't know if it was on the water bill. She never responded back either way. So has anyone got their water bill this month yet?
I think they'll be coming in a couple of days. I
Okay,
just
so
got the email.
you'll see, I didn't get confirmation either way, but I will follow up with her again, just to make sure. I think we thought maybe a couple people would see that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we had a bunch of items to potentially put in the champion. And so I sent an email to Kelly Graham, who handles the champion, and a bunch of ideas, and I just didn't realize entirely, I didn't know that I basically need to come prepared with the article. So I was like, I don't have time to write an article, so I didn't write the articles, but let's see, what were the items that we came up with? I said, how to report to the correct entity a street light that is not working. So that involves both the county roads and the city roads, so who to contact. So got to research that, and so if any of you guys want to write an article for the champion, that's one area. She didn't, she also indicated that she didn't know if we were going to have a 4-page or an 8-page edition coming up, so she didn't know how many word count I would have. But she just said, let me know what you do, and I said that, well, I don't know that I'm getting that this week or the next, but I'll let you know. The other item we said is for the champion for non-emergency public safety issues, there is the option to report online. We wanted to make sure that people knew that instead of having to call in case sometimes it's such a long wait time. So we're going to put some note that could be very short, I suppose. Then also a reminder of what sorts of things code enforcement handles. So that was kind of the catch-all, and we could address some of those issues that we had come up with comments. So we could write that in the article as well as telling, publicizing the date of the next disaster preparedness training and who to contact. So I think all of those need articles written, and so, and they'll just get inserted. I almost feel like the streetlight thing could be something that would be perfect for coming out late summer for the fall. I mean, just because daylight's on, but so I was thinking that one is less urgent, but the other ones could be written at any time. I don't think that any of them are very time critical. So anyhow, does anyone want to take on the job of writing these articles? Anyone like to, passionate about? Otherwise, I guess I'll write.
I'm not passionate, I'm not raising my hand to volunteer, let me clarify. I do feel though that many of the things that you've talked about have already been articles. Like they've done many of the code enforcer and what you know what I mean? So I feel like maybe we don't need to write anything and just wondering if they can replay one of those or something. I don't know.
I was thinking
It
Kelly
feels
would.
like they've
volun-
got to have historical documentation of some of that.
Yes, I was thinking Kelly would volunteer. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we used to do this about this time. She didn't volunteer. She was asking like, what's the word count? What do you want to do? I think those are excellent ideas. I was like, oh,
How about possibly instead, just a thing that's more as a reminder, or, did you know?
just a one
And then
line.
just kind of almost like little bullet points, as opposed to, and it might generate, people looking, because, maybe it'll generate phone calls in downtown Troutdale, I don't know, but just I was thinking like if there's a street light out in the area, and then it just has a number or whatever, or you get online and it just gives the URL or whatever of the
I think,
Multnomah
yeah.
County or whatever. I mean, just like very limited in just,
I think the whole idea, we wanted code enforcement, we wanted to remind people of some of the things, right? Because people brought up, and it's like, do you know, that would be a great thing to call code enforcement about, or at least go talk to your neighbor then if you're not gonna,
and
first, that's
maybe,
probably the best
but
thing.
maybe even there, call sometimes when code enforcement is the right call. And then it could just maybe list off some things or something, as opposed to, I know it still worked, don't get me wrong, but I was just thinking as
Still
opposed
figuring it
to,
out. And I think the streetlight thing it's come up, who do you call? Because, you can, I think some of the major arterials, we know that they're in Multnomah County, so we need to call them.
Well,
I mean, but you can always, I guess, call the city, but they could just say that's not a street, so then.
I have to tell you, my neighborhood, my street was still Multnomah County, I'm pretty sure. There's
I think all
street
this-
lights out, and you just get online and you just do it, and I think that's what I did, I just got online and I did something. I can't remember.
Okay, you
It took like a
research
month,
it. Research
it took
for
like a
me.
month, but it's brighter than ever, I told you. Now my lights don't really come on in front because the street lights are bright.
Twyla.
Just another idea, instead of maybe writing a full article, we could have, if they would give us a corner, and we could have a public safety, like tip of the quarter, and it could be, and so and then at the bottom, we could have the name of our committee or something, and when we meet. And so each quarter, we would give them a short little tip, like, this is how you get the street light change, this, and this, and then remind them that we exist, and then the next quarter, we'll come up with something else.
She did raise her hand, I know she did.
See, I want to be good for the streetlight one, because I like the dark sky society that brings back, yeah.
Yes, you see the lights. Anything you guys? Okay, well,
You want
I
to get it
guess-
off your plate, don't you?
I do, I just feel like I'm just overwhelmed with stuff I have to do, so. I guess I'll follow up with Kelly and just
Can we,
indicate that is there some historical things and possibility of, but if we ask for a corner of the paper, then a little section always, then we have to be proactive on saying what we're gonna post each couple of months, so.
I feel like she would, so I don't understand, if we could get like the exact cadence of when they come out, when she needs deadlines, I feel like that would be something that would be doable. And we could probably, in a month, each take one and just put together 50 words on whatever safety topic. We would only need 4. It's just, I don't know if she'd be willing to give us a tiny little corner.
I can certainly ask her. I asked her for the deadline, and I never heard back. So.
Okay.
And that was on the
Maybe next time.
19th of March, so it's not like it was yesterday.
I don't want to be the one that takes it on, but I'd be more than happy if it was like small group, or, whatever, you just have a couple of people break off or one other person, and we just get together and we talk on the phone a little bit of trying to like regurgitate some ideas on a, for something.
I'll ask her about it going forward if there's something. And then I'll ask her just the historical ones. Like, I know that code enforcement, I've read that a number of times. And I've read also about the mediation one. That is in there, I think. That's in there all the time too, so. Yeah, and there's other ones too, but anyhow, okay, I'll ask her about that, and then, but otherwise, I don't feel like, well, yeah, they need to be done, we need to get this done, but I'm not gonna be sweating bullets that they have to be in this coming up issue, because I don't know what the deadline is. Doesn't that come out in May or end of April?
They might are going to print pretty quickly for what then comes out for the May, June issue.
Yeah, they have to get out before.
And then,
Right.
so I think it's done 6 times a year.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like a 2-month thing each time. But it's like the when, sometimes I feel like, from before at least, I think that they talked about how it has to get in sooner, like probably pretty quick now, for what's getting all arranged for the May, June issue.
Yeah, she
So-
did let me know, let her know the word count and what I was planning on doing, and that was back on like March 20th. I just said, oh, I can't write an article now, later. And I still haven't written it. I started, but I didn't get anything done. Okay, that's what we'll follow up on there. All right, moving on. Okay, and so we don't have much out on the National Night Out also. I did not contact Molly, and I also haven't heard from the Wood Village gal. So I don't know if she's just a part-time, or maybe it's just getting so, she's in the really busy time of her year. But, so I have nothing else to update you guys on National Night Out. I had hoped that I would get some feedback from her by now, but nope. So anyone have any questions about that? Okay.
No, I was gonna make a different comment on the previous thing, but we moved on, so would you like me to wait?
On the safety survey follow-up items?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, there was that thing about, the next door and, like making it known on there that the, survey results were available. I think that was one we were hoping to ask Robbie about, if could find a way to do that.
Oh, I think we were asking him about the comments they said about the forum that it was posted on, where the public meetings posted for, where are the public meetings posted for Troutdale? Possibly post more on this forum. That's what I emailed Robbie about. And I
Okay.
didn't hear anything. I just asked him, hey, what, do you know what they're talking about? Can you shed any light here?
Okay, and then that's what we didn't get back into. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay, that was
He
it.
didn't, I don't know if he's just really busy too. He's not here tonight, so maybe that's it. Okay, so, National Night Out, nothing to report there, and I'll keep one more time, try that gal again. And I'll talk to Molly. I failed to do that this last month. Okay, update on Neighborhood Watch Program. Were you gonna get me some information about Neighborhood Watch? Captain, sorry. Address people, I've just said that and nobody's here to be able to see that.
I was gonna get some information if requested on our community patrol program, which is a little different.
Okay,
But I do have a connection for, I know you guys have already reached out for, to our emergency management, for their kind of national program, but yeah, I can give you whatever you need, so.
okay, so I think that, I don't know if is there a generic, or did you talk about, I don't know why this is just suddenly coming back, did you talk, there's an angle, different ways that you get do a neighborhood watch? And we needed to address that first, figure that out, or they're just standard? Neighborhood watch, or,
What you said last time about you, so that they do something that's up in Corbett.
Yes, that's the community patrol program.
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
control.
That's different from a neighborhood watch program. Yeah, I can get you a summary and just present it to you if that's what you like. So,
Okay,
I think we'll just go ahead and take that. I think that I went back and was reading in our minutes, and that, like, we were gonna maybe put something together, or maybe that was just my idea. Like, see if there was interest, because
Yeah,
I think I had read last month when I prepared for this, that neighborhood watches only take root if the people in the neighborhood are interested in doing this.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just pushing a truck uphill. It's
And that's
getting
where
nowhere.
I think we were talking that, like, do they even exist anymore? Because people are doing that on Nextdoor now.
Yes, okay.
And it's kind of evolved to a virtual platform of that same idea.
So we'll learn about the community patrol part, how that may be next month. And then maybe we put something out on the Facebook page, or maybe we do First Friday's just around the corner. Isn't that next month? Their First Friday will be in May, is that right? I don't know. Okay, but maybe we ask if people are interested in neighborhood watches, because that's just it. If people want us to help them get started, we want to help them. But if they're not interested, we don't need to be doing this, I guess. If nobody has interest, yeah, the program's not going to go anywhere, so.
Wow. If we really could find out, though, it would be more beneficial if we knew that before we spend any additional time on it. If they're not interested in it, but, okay.
I don't know how to hit that audience. How do you do that? How do we reach the residents and tell them? We have the same thing when we're trying to do the survey, right?
Where's Robbie, darn it?
I'm doing another survey, but I'm just not sure how to exactly start that without people showing an interest. So I feel like if we could get out and people gave us information, contact information, yes, I'd be interested if you had something. Then we have an initial meeting where people could come and find out about what's involved in their neighborhood, how to get more of their neighbors. Maybe some of the neighbors come together. Doesn't even have to, but whoever's really want to drive this in their neighborhood, who wants to help start it?
Well,
That's what I
what
feel like.
Could there be a question or a little click button on the website? In our little corner,
Well, that's,
in the champion, the little note says something about,
oh yeah,
just like, that might be the first draw, instead of us coming up with all the additional information, are you interested in? And then, go to, and then it's a click yes, and it would be like, kind of more or less like, maybe you give your name and address or something.
maybe phone number so we could contact you, or maybe if there's enough interest, we'll plan a meeting.
And then we could still, if there's something for First Friday, or, what, I just was thinking like,
Well, First Friday, like, this is our last meeting, May, no, we'll have one right before, the day before First Friday, if it starts May. I thought it started in May, so maybe it's after, maybe it's June, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, well, anyone else have comments about Neighborhood Watch? All right, moving on. Okay, any update from the Public Safety Work Group? You too?
We meet Monday.
Sherry's our representative. Sherry's our representative.
from the Public Safety Work Group?
Are you? Oh, no, you're on the other one.
I think the mayor took that job over,
That's right.
didn't he?
Yeah,
You
think
came
the
on
two
that
of
other
you
group.
are.
Yeah.
and we don't,
We
Carol,
meet Monday.
you meet Monday,
Yeah.
okay, so whatever you would have, you would tell us has happened last month, and now it's gonna probably change, because you.
Yeah, they're working on the fire right now.
Okay,
Run no more on Monday. I
okay,
don't know if they've heard from Montgomery County Sheriff's yet.
okay. Okay, well, good enough, I guess, we'll just wait till your next month, it's gonna be getting close here. Okay, update on next month's agenda. Okay, so, I think that I'll still put the night out on there again, and what we're doing as far as the champion, related to the survey, how we're getting the articles in the champion. I mean, I guess if there's anything to report, if the articles are done, or if I got that corner. What did I say, champion corner? And you'll tell us about the community patrols. And we'll try for the work group again, too. Anything else you guys think we need to cover? Nope. All right,
Well,
now, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just don't know if there's something that, for additional conversation on what Frank has brought up to us. I mean, I don't know that we know anything or anything that we can, bring forward to council as a recommendation at this point,
I don't
because,
think we know enough. I mean, I think I think we'll have to ponder this idea, I guess. We want to have time to discuss maybe what things we'll have that.
Yeah, I think it might be good to put that on the agenda, because he did mention one thing of Troutdale not having a formal,
Ordinances or a formal.
like a plan in place.
I'm sorry, what was the question? This is Frank, by the way.
And in your presentation, you had mentioned that one piece that we might be able to work on is that Troutdale didn't have a specific plan for,
It doesn't.
so looking into maybe what those are and what others towns look like, and seeing if we might recommend one for us.
This is Frank. From a research standpoint, from my lit review, I looked at Oregon City for their homeless plan. I looked at Hillsborough for their homeless plan. That does tie in, especially with the vehicle, rotational vehicle placement. A lot of cities have designated parking for homeless vehicles so that they can keep track of where they're at each night. Currently, our city manager, Ray Young, allocates that sort of, like with the RV parking. But that's not really a plan per se. So there's a lot out there that you could be looking at and get educated on, and then make that recommendation, come up with, I would recommend a work group, basically. Pull in
Okay.
Clay Courtright, pull in your experts, maybe even Travis Hutton from Public Works, because he's the engineering side of it, Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, maybe the Hope Team, one of the guys from the Hope Team, Brian, I'm not sure, would he be receptive? Yeah, so you have a lot of resources here, but there's really no plan in place to address what could potentially happen this summer or the next summer. So, yeah.
Are we crossing into any other committees' input?
I can't think of any that is working.
It's,
Other than parks, right? Because parks, these are parks, right?
yeah. Just, so if I could step back, Frank again. From a park standpoint, the comment about, we're already doing the patrols, the community patrols, basically. I have the Friends of the Chalk Chalk Trail, which is about 20 to 50 people that are on the trail every day. If they have an issue, they either tell me or the sheriff's department or. So, and then I've worked with Corbett as well when I was firefighting, and I worked with those guys closely. So I saw how they did business, which is, it's not the same as a neighborhood watch. It's more mobile and situational typically. Very tactical as opposed to strategic, if that makes sense. Yeah, and then, so I mean, I would come, from my perspective, I would come at it from try to develop the group to develop a plan for a homeless plan for the city, which we don't really have. And then also a response. My question, we don't have a strategic plan either. So how does that fit with council as far as strategically? And then from a budget standpoint, who's going to be covering this summer, like Glen Otto, Beaver Creek, all of the parks? I mean, last year, I think we hired out for law enforcement. I'd have to check, but
There was security hired
like a
in
radio.
some capacity.
Yeah,
But I think that's already been axed from the budget because there's not enough money.
right. So if that's going to be gone, then what are the other alternatives? And this is where maybe you could pull in the Citizen Advisory Council and make that a joint effort between Parks, Citizen Advisory Council, and Public Safety.
I almost feel, and I might not understand the whole process, but I almost feel like we need to be tasked with something from council as to kind of how to go about what they're really hoping that we give to them.
That's what I meant when I said strategic. So the strategic plan from council, that's the part. It's like, what would they want? And then the work group, yeah.
Yeah, it might be good just to look at some of the different plans from the other cities, and then decide if we feel like it's within the scope of our work and our committee. And then if we feel like it is, then perhaps we could put together a presentation and bring that to council to say, hey, these are our thoughts. would you support us moving forward, working on this with the CAC and parks? And then we would bring our finished product back to them, of course, for feedback or to bless.
So are those plans something that you can see on the Oregon City's website? Hillsborough, those two for sure we can see something, so.
Yes,
I'll find it.
Dakota was actually at Hillsborough. He's one of our urban planners, so he was my resource for that. I tried to pick a place that had the similar size as Wood Village, Fairview, Troutdale, that combination of numbers.
Yeah.
So about 36,000. I know we're at 17,000 here in Troutdale, so. Cottage Grove is another one that I looked at here in Oregon. But I really liked Oregon Cities. I think that was probably the real basic, readable, straight to the point, simple to read. I think it was 2 pages.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
good, that is good. Okay. So we'll gather the material or gather up do some research on it, but I think actually I'll go and look and then see if we could include it in our packet and talk about it
That'd be good.
next time. And it seems like such a big task, but it's good.
I think
like it's
it makes it hard too, because there's still all these kind of moving pieces with the park going into place. And so that creates a different vibe, kind of lots of activity right now, where at some point when it's not, it could maybe end up with, some of the houseless moving into the areas. But while there's such a strong tick of people going around, I don't know if that makes sense, but.
This is Frank. So my observations on the Chop Chop Trail, they have, the groups that I talked to have basically said taking back the space is their phrase. So there's someone out there all the time, maybe not at night, but during the day. And I think that's part of the safety aspect. And from an observation standpoint, the fact that I'm seeing more and more women walking alone is a key indicator to me of how they feel about how safe the trail is. So that's something that I would be looking at when I look at the summer and who's walking on the trail from Troutdale as well. Those numbers, they kind of dictate public safety as well. Yeah, it's complicated, but I think it's doable. I think with the right.
Do you see a lot of people going across from the west side to the east side and traveling, or from the east side to the west? Do you see a lot of people going, or are
Yeah.
they just on the sides? And it's the homeless that tend to cross.
So I think the smelt actual fishing was a key indicator of where we're at. So I had people and traffic lined up all the way from probably the corner of the Sandy River where the old dam used to be, across to the Sandy River Delta. So a quarter mile down on the west bank, and then all the way up to Troutdale Bridge was packed. Jordan Road was packed. You couldn't get a car in there. No one was in DSL. There was not one fisherman on the bank of the east side of the river for Department of State lands. That tells you a lot about safety.
Interesting, people didn't, okay.
Yeah, I asked a fisherman about it. He said that the deeper water has better fish, but I went over there and looked at the flow of fish, and I could have easily scooped out buckets on that same sandy spot.
Okay,
So,
I'm just going to tell you something from the standpoint of Councilman White and Diane. Both had told me before that there's times when the smelt run and they really run in a narrow path along the way. And so in the past, it's been on the west side.
The deeper
and
water.
it's pretty tight right there, right up along. And so that might have also be part of it, because that was my understanding is
Yeah.
where they're at, they're dense and they just travel really tight together. But
I would agree, and that's why I explored both sides of the river and looked at, was the flow on both sides? Was it accessible on both sides? These are the questions I was asking as well, and my observations showed a distinct number of people in specific areas on both sides of the river. So Jordan Road all the way down to Troutdale Bridge was packed. Same way on the other side, but no one was at the Department of State Lands area. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay, then, let's talk about that next time. All right. Thank you. Okay, so next month's meeting, law enforcement reports will be done on the 1st. I mean, they'll be trying to do them on the 1st. So our scheduled meeting is the 1st, or would you guys prefer to do the 8th, so we have a chance to get the reports? And otherwise, we probably, I don't even know.
I have Reynolds Budget Committee on the 1st, and I know that'll go a long time.
Okay,
The 8th would be better.
okay. How about for you, Chris?
Excuse me. I am going to be in Iowa the 1st and the 8th. I'm going to be traveling, those are the 2 travel days, Thursday to Thursday.
Okay.
So let me look to see what time I get back on the 8th. 'Cause that may work if I get back early enough.
Yes,
But go ahead.
okay. How about for you, Sherry?
I think either could work for me.
I'm fine with whatever.
I like the idea, if we can, for the 8th, because we'd have a chance to get the reports. Otherwise, we are really scrambling. So I think we'll go for the 8th. That way Victoria can join us too, and we're hoping Chris might be able to.
My flight gets in at 8 p.m.
Okay,
at PDX, yeah, Thursday the 8th.
okay. We understand.
We can't even ask him to Zoom. Darn.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So we're doing this totally backwards, but I should have introduced you to start with. I'm very sorry, this was very bad of me. So, Chris, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself here, and I guess.
Okay, my name's Chris Ellison. I am the Director of Transportation for Reynolds School District. I've been with the school district for almost 2 years now. Before that, was director at David Douglas School District and Eugene School District. Yeah. This is my 29th year in student transportation. So we, one of those that bleeds yellow. So, yeah. But student safety, that's my biggest priority. So trying to keep all of our Reynolds kids safe, and we transport a little over, on average, about 7,000 kids per day, a little over 7,000 per day, so, which is quite a big chunk of the enrollment, so, yeah.
Yes. Good. Well, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I mean, do you have any issues in the Troutdale area? I know Reynolds goes a ways, it isn't just here in Troutdale.
Yeah,
Is there
Fairview, Wood Village, Troutdale, I mean, Gresham, we cover a lot of area there, but not that I can think of at this point. I know that we're going to be 257th by the high school. That's starting to get torn up, and been working closely with Multnomah County on school bus access. Out of the high school, we've got 35 buses that utilize that twice a day. And, we changed our exit plan actually this year, because we had half of our buses using that bus loop exiting onto 257, and then a good chunk of them going out on Cherry Park, which just jammed everything up. So everybody is going out 257th. Now, when they're with the construction happening, it's going to be interesting. So we've been working really closely with the construction and the project planner and everything. So we'll see how it goes. But that's our biggest issue, I think, that we're going to be dealing with now until start of school at least.
Yeah.
In September. So.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're on our committee, so welcome, I'm glad you're on the committee, and you can keep us,
Thank you.
we can stay on top of maybe some issues, trying to
Okay.
be another voice to help too. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's do committee comments, so Victoria.
Sorry, Sherry, it's Town Center you got on.
Yeah.
There's been so many changes. And thank you, Frank, for working on that and doing that presentation. And,
Thank you.
and that's it.
Okay. Do you want to make any more comments? We usually
No, I
follow up.
actually enjoyed the presentation by Frank, so thank you. A lot of thought went in that, we can tell, so,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of work and thought, so, yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Sherry?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for your information and what you're getting on, and I appreciate all that. That's great. Thank you, Frank. Thanks for y'all being here and making a quorum. I appreciate that. And I think that's all. I don't really have anything else.
Okay, Twyla?
Yes, welcome. We're glad you're here as part of our committee, and thank you for the presentation. And from the safety standpoint of our communities, it's been nice with the sun today. I had the day off, and so many people out walking and biking, and it's just great to see people out there accessing nature and getting out there. So that's it.
Excellent. Okay, well, welcome, and I'm super excited that we actually have someone from Reynolds here, so I'm really pleased. Hopefully we'll make sure to do a good job of taking care of any things that you bring up. Thank you very much for coming today, really appreciate that. Thank you, Captain, for looking into these issues and straightening us out on those things, we appreciate that. And Frank, thank you very much for the presentation. It's really, I think I've driven by and seen issues before, but I don't think I realized how many cars, I've seen cars, but I mean, you're seeing enough, you've captured enough over time. There's a lot more than I realized happened. Yeah, so I think it's a bigger problem than I think any of us realize, so. And thank you all for being here, and with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Is Sherry a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned, thank you very much.